Okay, so let me just get this straight now. I love crappy movies. They're fun to laugh at, fun to pick apart, fun to just enjoy for its pure garbage presentation. So because I'm still experimenting with this channel, I thought to myself, well, hey, it'd be fun to review a forgettable straight-to-DVD movie that no one pays attention to. So I go to my local Dollar Tree and I pick up 3 movies. One of them is this animated film called Spy Cat. I mean, it looks bad, right? It looks awful. I was strangely excited to watch it at first. This had to be the most boring piece of crap I've ever watched. I'm not even kidding. It was like staring at a wall with baby pictures on it. And the depressing part is, it wasn't even that bad. I mean, it was bad, but it was just a life-sucking dull mess. It was just nothing. It was just dead air. There were some glimpses of potential charm that I wouldn't by no means say would save the movie, but at the very least, it was just a glimpse. That's it. It was just a stupid glimpse. So even though I'm disappointed that this wasn't as fun as I was hoping for, considering that I was expecting a higher level of badness, I still believe I should push on and review this movie so I can just, keep this going. So let's go, and hopefully you enjoy. So the plot is unremarkable and as generic as any other plot that you can expect from any other kids movie ever made. There's this anthropomorphic cat named Marty that has an obsession with spy shows, especially this one animated spy show called Agent Uhuru or Ahura or Ahuraru or something, or I don't care. She knows the show by heart and aspires to be a spy herself based off the TV character. She's incredibly pampered by her oddly proportioned owner named Miss Sunshine, who seriously needs a hair job and likes to feed Marty anything that's not healthy food or food that needs to be for a cat. Her stepbrother, Paul, comes over looking like a Tim Burton reject character model, and he fools Marty into thinking that he's a spy after the issue of someone breaking into houses have been through the news, until it's revealed that he isn't a spy. So because it's revealed that he's actually the thief, he decides to just kick her out of the house by putting her in a box, which I guess is a decent idea. But to be honest, the whole idea is pretty smart that he fakes it by saying that he's actually looking for the thieves. So I'll give him that for having a pretty clever way of getting a certain liability out the way. But unfortunately, it doesn't get better from here because he pretty much screws himself over and his whole plans pretty much go to shambles because of that. So yeah, after he kicks her out, she and her ragtag group of other CGI animal characters try to stop him in his evil bad guy plans. Wow, and it gets so exciting from here. Now before I go further, let's not break the plot in great detail like I did originally. But I do have to wonder, I know that this is a kids movie, but I've never seen a fictional cat so overly pampered to such a degree where she's being treated almost human. I mean, is there a reason why Rosalina Sunshine or whatever her name is doing this? It's strange and unnatural, so I might have an over-analytical theory, but what don't I overanalyze? So I'm starting to think that Miss Sunshine had a daughter that was tragically killed in a car accident, and she's projecting her regrets of not saving her onto her cat, and maybe her daughter loved the show Uhuru so much that she twisted the cat into loving the show so much that Marty has become forcefully obsessed with the show, subconsciously being inspired by spy shows, so much so that she's using it to eventually free herself from her prison of the house. But this is just a theory, a stupid theory. Don't pay attention, but I'm still sticking with it. Overall, the plot is just full of incredibly dull moments that try to go for entertainment value, but the problem is everything is happening at the exact convenience of getting the characters from one antic to the next, and it just doesn't work. And it doesn't help that the villain stupidly gave Marty the key to eventually beating him just so that he can get her out of the way. But dude, it's like if Thanos gave the Avengers the gauntlet just to get them out of the way so he can look for the Infinity Stones. If you're trying to get Marty out of the way, just box the cat against her will and ship her to Afghanistan or something. Because what's worse is that she'll retrace her steps back to the town and follow you, especially since you have an unmarked location where you're doing your last job. Because she'll eventually be at the house the exact same time you are and catch you. Homie, you played yourself, idiot. Yeah, aside from that stupidity, there's a lot of stupid distracting moments, like when Marty thinks that the thief's having a selective pick on what they're stealing because the pictures have the same artist will give leeway to her investigation, but it doesn't really matter when she looks up the name because it doesn't have anything. But it's more important than apparently trying to figure out exactly where they're going to go next. And there's also the two henchmen who stupidly leave their car with the key in the ignition and peeing openly just in case, you know, their car gets stolen or the evidence is found. But this is clearly just to push in a piss in pants joke. And then when Marty calls the police, she can't speak human, but she uses the dialogue from the TV to communicate, which is interesting at first, but what stood out to me was that there's a musical portion that says Sunshine, which is her last name, but it's tonally different from when the woman in the portion of the episode screamed for help. And for some reason, the cops didn't notice that, and they just said, "Oh, your name is Sunshine. Oh, we'll come help you right away," even though you would never sing your name midway through being in distress. But, you know, whatever.
Police Station, Officer Bungle speaking. Sunshine? Oh, Miss Sunshine. Well, calm down and tell me.
You have the stupid cop that brushes off the thieves that run past him out loud saying, "We have to find the paintings."
Flipping paintings. We've got 24 hours. 24 hours to find the paintings? Hey, couldn't he give us a day?
Mango de Bango was annoying in general. The chickens that apparently use Shigaraki's detection quirk to inadvertently show up where the characters are every single time to conveniently look for Egbert. I mean, seriously, any other character could have accidentally knocked that box over that had all of those paintings that would give them leeway for their investigation, but apparently they had to keep pushing in this plot line that Egbert is trying to find inner peace, and also how Paul just lazily puts his evidence behind a freezer instead of putting it in a place that's more discreet so that only he can get access to it. And then we have the tease of a possible sequel. Oh lord. Well, back onto the plot. By the end of the movie, when Paul is apprehended, Rosaline apologizes to Marty for projecting the loss of her daughter onto her, and the mayor gives animals a huge sum of money for some strange reason, and Marty decides to just run away and be independent and do more of what she wanted since she's tired of being a secluded house pet. So yep, the characters, they just go through the motions. None of them are interesting. Egbert was just some comic relief that wanted inner peace because the other chickens voted him in as a sacrifice to be eaten for some chicken soup recipe. Mango de Bango feels like an afterthought and was rather annoying and unfunny, especially since his reveal that he was actually a donkey named Anton didn't affect the narratives like at all. Elvis actually had a pretty decent arc, and he was somebody that was supposed to be a guard dog but doesn't feel like he's able to prove it and rather just be independent. But Marty is one of the most boring protagonists to ever grace a movie or show. It's bad enough that Addison Rae isn't even trying. I don't really blame her for the material she was given, but girl, stick to TikTok. Don't go into voice acting.
25 of Agent Uhura. There's a similar case. No.
For some reason, I kept thinking how much it wouldn't have mattered if Rooster and Donkey were in the movie. Remove them and imagine just how much better the movie would have been. Not by much, but at the very least, there's a little more of a focus there. The human characters were just generic extras. Paul is a generic villain that looks like a Tim Burton character from Corpse Bride, specifically Victor. Rosalina's got back, but she's another generic character, and she needs a hair appointment badly. Overall, the characters were inoffensive. They were just generic pieces of rendered CGI. Speaking of which, this isn't the worst CGI I've ever seen, so there's that. It's another one of those animated films that have no budget and understandably have to use what they have. This is a tolerable looking movie for the most part. The textures on the animals look tolerable enough and the frame rate is standard for this type of budgeted CGI, so I didn't really notice any major frame drops. But what kills me is, you guessed it, the human designs. The only decent looking human design was Paul, but seriously, he looks better than everybody else. The human characters have that issue where their pupils are so shrunken and small and the entirety of their eyes are ridiculously massive. I mean, it works for some material, but here it just looks creepy and unappealing. Especially the kids, which have that, they have adult faces. They have adult faces. You have to look at it. Adult faces with little bodies, and it's so creepy. And it's amazing how little effort they went into actually designing the children. Just look at it. Ugh. I will never understand why they decided to animate human beings this way, but it's so sporadic with these type of CGI films. Like I said, I get that there's a limited budget, but you have to try something else. But ironically, the Uhuru TV show that Marty watches has amazing animation. Like, give me that, please. So yeah, this was just another straight to DVD CGI film that nobody will care for or watch unless you really need to distract your baby for a day. It wasn't a disaster, but obviously there are better things to watch, you know. And this is why I should have watched something else. But to have a vast knowledge of any sort of media, you have to consume the best and worst of it. So I hope you enjoyed me slugging through this crap, but leave a like and subscribe if you're interested in more content, and peace out and love y'all.